You can't get married yet, though.
Isn't she legal marrying age, though?
Probably. Do you want to be legally married yet?
No.
Okay.
To who?
I don't know. You'd have to find a boy, I guess. Why are you talking about getting married right now when I'm trying to tell you about Yet Another Persona's nice story?
You better not have this all recorded.
Called What Even Is a Soul Anyway? And I should find the page with the story, which makes it easier to read.
It kind of does sometimes.
Summary. Everyone deserves a happy ending, so Frisk goes back into the underground to bring back everyone's favorite grumpy flower. Features soul-bearing conversations, post-pacifist politics, and the constant looming threat of everything everyone worked so hard for being erased. Fun!
Ooh, Rick. That sounds like the first gonna be to reset. Hey, it's a save as real story.
Okay, here we go.
Sounds good.
Prologue.
Oh.
Save. You leave behind the gloom of your menu and blink to clear the purple splotches in your vision as your eyes adjust to the light. You're halfway up Mount Ebbet, and the trees are too sparse to filter out much of the early afternoon sun. Within a couple of hours, it'll sink behind the mountain and cast the entire eastern side into shade, but right now it's poised directly above the peak. From your position, it's as if the mountain is a huge arrow pointing at the sun and saying, "Look at that! Isn't that remarkable? Isn't it amazing to live every day in the open air under a bright sun?" It is amazing. Since your fall into the underground, you've been careful to appreciate the more pedestrian aspects of surface life. Seasons, fresh air, sunlight, there were a lot of things that you took for granted back then. Even the few days you spent trapped under the mountain were enough to begin wearing away at your mind. You can't imagine spending a lifetime there, having grandparents who had never seen a sunrise, knowing your grandchildren wouldn't either. And you could make it happen. The menu you just exited is an uncomfortable reminder of the power that you alone hold. Save, load, reset. The last one is the worst. 5 glowing amber letters that always come back to haunt you. Before today, you hadn't called up the menu in nearly a year, and you'd almost convinced yourself that the power had deserted you when you left the underground, that you could return to your life unburdened by the weight of such choices. But here, at the mouth of the cave where your journey began, the familiar sensations come creeping back. The grim resolve that you had to rely on to survive your journey. The willpower to face insurmountable odds, fail and try again. With the memories comes the menu, and the confirmation that no matter how little you desire it, you possess the power to snatch away everyone's happy ending as completely as if it had never existed. You don't have to use the power, but you can never be rid of it. You are filled with determination. There's a sturdy-looking tree growing a few yards from the mouth of the cave. You reach the ground and have just finished unclipping your harness when you hear a familiar voice, high-pitched and laced with derision. Flowey has noticed your arrival. "Frisk, what are you doing here? I told you—" He pauses, and a malevolent smile creeps onto his face. "Oh, you're back to reset, right? I knew eventually you'd—" "Wait, what?" His voice trails off when he sees the trowel and flower pot you've just unpacked, and his expression goes from smug to scornful.
I'm totally picturing the comic here. Yep.
"You idiot! Don't you remember what I said? I can't love you! I can't love anyone! I'll just make you all miserable up there!" You kneel down in front of him. "I know that you can't love. It's okay." "Then, what is this, some kind of pity thing?" He puts on a sing-song voice. "Oh, boo-hoo, the poor flowers left all alone, because you can keep your worthless pity." "No, that's not it." "Then what is it?" "It's just, you're the only other one who knows what it was like," you say. "Being able to save and reset and all that stuff. I wasn't exactly responsible with that power, and I can't vent to the others about it. Not after what I did. I just wanted someone to talk to about it, and I thought you might want that too. You pause to let Flowey respond, but he doesn't say anything, so you carry on. I know you're not interested in being friends or family with anyone, and I know that I'm not Kara, but do you think maybe understanding would be enough? Flowey doesn't talk or meet your gaze for several seconds. He seems to actually be considering what you've said, which is more than you had hoped for. Finally, he mumbles. Yeah, sure, whatever. As you start digging into the earth around him, he adds, on a couple of conditions. Don't tell Asgore and Toriel who I am. I won't tell. And no more resets. No more resets, you echo in affirmation.
I thought he just wanted. He was just saying something about. Yeah, he doesn't want to.
Yeah, he just figured Frisk had finally come to do it. You transfer Flowey into the pot and fasten it onto your back in silence. You get the feeling he's waiting for you to say something sentimental so that he can rib you for it. You decide to hold your tongue. He'll probably find something to be rude about if you give him a moment. You adjust the backpack straps, walk back to the rope, and begin your ascent. What's with this stupid helmet, anyway? Asks Flowey. There it is. Toriel wouldn't let me come down here without safety stuff. You look like a total dork.
Yep.
I know. The insult is so mild, you don't really feel it. And anyway, it's basically just background noise coming from him. The remainder of your climb to the surface passes in silence. You can feel the awkwardness of Flowey's failed needling hanging in the air. You've made it to the mouth of the cave and are winding up the rope when he pipes up again. That is so like her, though. What is? The helmet. If you fell from this height, you probably wouldn't land on your head. I see. And even if you did, the impact would just carry through anyway and break your neck. I tested it out once in one reset. Drops from different heights, figuring out what a monster can survive.
Science.
You know that he just wants a reaction, but that doesn't make it any less unsettling. Human bodies are tougher, granted, but that probably wouldn't make much difference. But of course, she sends you out with a helmet anyway. She's so obsessed with trying to protect people, even when it's out of her control, even when it doesn't concern her. Imprisoning random humans just to feel like she's doing some good. Ha! You trudge back down the mountain in silence. He'll wear himself out soon enough. It's guilt, I suppose. He leans over from his position on your back, hissing the words into your ear. She failed so monumentally to protect her real son and serve her actual subjects, and she's trying to make up for it now. That's all you are. The latest subject for another study in self-pity. How long has she even known you? Like a few months? And yet she wants to act like your mother, who cares for you and supports you. Just watch. If you try to move on or grow up, she'll resent you for it. She'll guilt trip you until... Azrael, shut up now. Flowey shuts up. But after a few seconds, he mumbles. Why did you call me that? Because it's still your name. Like it or not, you are still her son, and you're still the Prince of Monsters, and you need to act like it. You know you shouldn't be rising to his bait, but you can't help yourself. I don't need to act like anything. As far as Toriel knows, I'm dead, and as for being the Prince of Monsters, that ship has sailed. Still, if hearing the truth about you upsets you so much, I'll stop. You'll see for yourself eventually. Sure, you say. The sun is obscured by the mountain now, so the rest of your descent is in the shade. The western sky behind you is a luminous orange, but ahead it's already fading into turquoise. The trees are denser this close to the bottom of Mount Ebott, and a chorus of evening birdsong gradually builds up as the ground levels out. Here you pause for a quick rest before starting the final leg of your journey. You put down the backpack for a moment and take a swig from your canteen before waving it in Flowey's direction. You, want any? Sure, he says. Just, pour some in the pot, if that's cool, and don't laugh about it. I wasn't going to, you assure him. You empty about a cup's worth of water into the soil, trying to distribute it evenly. Watering a sentient plant isn't particularly weird where monsters are concerned. So what's been going on in the outside world? Since I busted everyone out, I mean, Flowey asks. Well, let's see. Asgore's been negotiating with various human governments to try to sort out the position of monsters in the world. On the one hand, monsters want him to stay king, but it's not really clear where he's going to be the king of. America, that's the human country that exists here now. America doesn't want to give up all the land around Ebott. They can't really ask all the humans to leave, but relocating all the monsters somewhere else would take a long time. There's a whole bunch more complicated stuff I don't really get, but at least it looks like there won't be another war. I was wondering why there were still so many monsters in the underground, says Flowey. So I freed everyone, and they have to stay under the mountain anyway? That's just peachy. Well, Yellow Creek, that's the human town we're heading for, is being expanded with temporary housing, and monsters are moving in. But that all has to be agreed with the human authorities and then planned out before the actual building could start. And there's a lot of monsters, way more than the town can hold at the moment. Papyrus is helping out with relocating monsters. Toriel's got a school started so the kids can carry on learning. I don't know if you know Mettaton. He's been a real hit with humanity. Already got a world tour planned.
Whoa.
That sounds about right for him.
Wait a minute.
Anybody else you want to know about?
Sand.
What's up with Sans these days? I don't see much of him. I kind of prefer it that way, to be honest. Good call. It was always a pain when he tracked me down. I feel like he must know about all my resets. But if he does, he hasn't let on, and I don't exactly want to bring it up with him. Sure. It's getting dark, you say. You finish your water and carefully lift the backpack over your shoulders. We better get home before Toriel starts worrying. Flowey sighs. Uh-huh. So where am I actually staying anyways? The greenhouse sits against the fence at the end of your back garden, underneath a tall pine tree. It's been specially built to make sure Flowey doesn't pose a threat to himself or anyone else. The panels are made of the same magically reinforced glass that was used to build the core, meaning it's strong enough to withstand magical attacks from Undyne and Toriel simultaneously. They tested it out to be sure. As for Flowey's...
Where's the core? Just lots and lots
to test it.
I like how that's how they measure how strong it is.
As for Flowey's ability to burrow underground, the similarly toughened metal grate above the floor should prevent that. It took a lot of pestering and pleading to convince Toriel to have it built. I don't know why you want to go to all this effort to look after such an unpleasant creature, Frisk. But you got your way in the end. The door is fitted with a heavy metal lock as an extra security measure.
So they're gonna lock Flowey up somewhere?
Apparently so.
Why?
Because he's still dangerous? Flowey threw one of his customary tantrums over these new lodgings, calling them humiliating and disrespectful, as well as lamenting how little faith you all had in his better nature. But everyone agreed he couldn't really be set loose on the world in his current state, especially with the peace between humankind and monsters as tenuous as it was. You've tried to make the greenhouse as pleasant as you can, A small square table in the center holds Flowey's pot, and there are a couple of garden chairs around for visitors to sit in. You set up an old TV against one wall by threading an extension cord out the window and into the house, so at least he has something for entertainment. It's voice-controlled, meaning he can surf channels to his heart's content without needing the remote. You also brought him a couple of boxes of books from Toriel's collection, stories, natural history, puzzles, but it soon became apparent that his magic was much better suited to punching holes through pages than turning them. Lastly, you assured him that you would visit him every day. "Oh boy, what fun!" he responded.
You should, for Christmas, Frisk should get Flowey a magical punching bag.
I don't know if you want to encourage Flowey's more violent tendencies. Once you've finished installing Flowey in his new home, you head back inside. You consider inviting him in for dinner, but after hearing what he has to say about Toriel, you decide against it. You weren't even sure he'd agree to come to the surface, and you're not going to push your luck by forcing him to socialize. Once he's had a bit of time to adjust to being around other people, everything will get better. In the meantime, though, you have to admit it's a pretty dull situation you've left him in. He will get better, won't he? When you compare Flowey as he is now to the kid who freed monsters from the underground, you can barely wrap your mind around the fact that they're the same person. There must be some missing ingredient. What is it about a soul that can so drastically change someone's personality? When he only had human souls, he wasn't much different from his soulless self. It was the monster souls that did it. Those souls weren't really his, but they did seem to let him express his own emotions. So there has to be something you can do. Dinner tonight is a kind of root vegetable medley with tomato sauce.
Root vegetable?
Carrots and beets probably and stuff, yeah. But your mind is too busy chasing itself in circles to give it the admiration it deserves. Toriel can tell something is up. "Are you all right, Frisk? You look very distant." "Yeah, I'm fine. I've just had a long day." That's not a lie. Your hike has left you pretty exhausted. "I hope that Flowey chap hasn't given you too much trouble. I must admit I'm surprised you wanted to have anything to do with him, given how he attacked us all back in the underground." "Yeah, well, You stumble over your words, trying to phrase your response so as not to give anything away. "Like I said, it felt like a risk just leaving him out there." "I suppose so. And I actually talked to him quite a lot when I was in the underground, and it seems like he might not be so bad. I think he just needs someone who understands him." Toriel sighed. "The thing is, Frisk, you are an extremely selfless person, and also very persistent, and that can be a good thing. You managed to convince monsters who had spent their whole lives preparing to kill humans to spare you, and even be friends with you. You even talked Asgore out of waging war on humanity, which, well," she falters. "What I mean is, you seem to have a knack for bringing out the best in people. But you need to be careful to look after yourself as well. From what I have seen of that creature, he is very fond of degrading other people, and you will make yourself an easy target if you open up too much before him." You open your mouth to respond, but she forges ahead. "Now, I am not saying that you shouldn't try to help him. I've underestimated you before. But I want you to promise me that you won't let him tear you down, and that you won't take it too much to heart if he proves to be, well, unbefriendable." When you don't answer, she repeats herself. "Can you promise me that, Frisk?" You put on a smile. "Sure, Toriel, I won't let him get to me." "I'm glad to hear it. Now, do you want some more dinner, or shall we move on to dessert?" "Dessert sounds good." It's weird hearing Toriel criticize her own son so frankly. What she's saying is totally fair, but still, you just wish you could tell her who Flowey is. But you did agree not to, and breaking a promise within a few hours of making it is not a good look. The rest of the evening passes without incident, but once you get into bed, you feel restless in spite of your physical exertion. You reach for your phone and load up an episode of anime, something with nice low-stakes conflict and a happy ending. Your brain needs it right now. You're in the hallway of the castle in New Home, fighting Sans. You've lost count of how many times you've died to him, but it must already be more than 10. You're not sure why you still keep coming back. It's pretty clear he's impossible to beat. Sans' turn.
See it what comes next? I can't afford not to care anymore.
You don't know or care what that means, and he doesn't give you time to ponder it. A series of attacks from either side forces you to dodge wildly around the hallway. One of them grazes you and knocks off a handful more HP. Only a few rounds into the fight and you're already dangerously injured. You grunt in frustration. Your turn. Fight. You lunge at Sans with your dagger, and he dodges. Big surprise. Sans' turn.
That being said, you, really like swinging that thing around, huh?
Oh, right. You hadn't realized that it was already time for him to plead.
Wait.
Listen.
Why did they say a few rounds? Okay, 13. But...
Listen. Friendship,
he says. You let your eyes glaze over. His next line is accompanied by a wink.
It's really great, right? Let's quit fighting.
The plus side to fighting an opponent who knows about your power is that he doesn't bore you with the same dialogue every time. He knows you've both been here before, and that offering you mercy is essentially a formality, short and sweet. You can respect that. You take the opportunity to heal up, and then get back to the fighting. Your turn. Sans is sparing you. You bite into a legendary hero. Mettaton may have been a crummy fighter, but there's no denying he could make a mean sandwich. You eat another to max out your HP.
Oh, is it a hero sandwich?
Yeah, I guess so.
What?
You eat another to max out your HP. Fantastic. Time to kill the skeleton. Then again, Sans is sparing you. You consult the mercy menu just out of interest. His name is Yellow. Huh. So it's not just an empty gesture. He really is giving you a second chance. You look at him again. He stands there, hands in his pockets, the usual inscrutable grin on his face, and sweat, for some reason, dripping down his brow. It's kind of touching, you have to admit, especially after everything you've done. Still, you have only one goal in mind, and accomplishing it means rejecting his offer. You just head over to fight, and Sans is sparing you. Ugh. Fine. You'll spare him, just this once. This fight was just going to end with you dying anyway. You've blown through your healing items way too soon to have a chance later on. You'll spare him, see how he reacts, and then you can reload your save and finish the job. It's no biggie. Your turn. Mercy. Spare. Sans' turn. He closes his eyes, and you think you can detect genuine relief on his face.
You're sparing me? Finally. Buddy. Pal. I know how hard it must be to make that choice. To go back on everything you've worked up to.
He already looks so much less tense. It could almost warm your heart under different circumstances.
I want you to know, he continues, I won't let it go to waste.
With those words, he looks right into your eyes. You're torn between sentimentality over how nice he's being and disgust at how easily he gave up the fight. When you reload and kill him, you'll make sure to taunt him about that.
Come here, pal.
He opens his arms, offering you a hug. You move forward to accept it. It can't hurt to play his game for a minute or two longer.
Yes, it can.
His attack hits you dead on. By the time you can react, there's nowhere to run. Your HP drains to 0 in seconds, and the last thing you see before blacking out is his face, flashing you one last infuriating wink.
Get dunked on! If we're really friends, you won't come back.
Okay, he got you good. As you load up your save again, you have to wonder why you're even doing this. Sure, pacifism proved to be a no-go, and you're curious to see what happens when you kill everyone, but is it really worth dying to Sans over and over again? In fact, you're pretty sure you already gave up on this path and reset. And didn't you free everyone from the underground months ago? So, why are you... Oh, right. You're dreaming. Very funny, brain. You gradually open your eyes and squint at the digital alarm clock. Your eyes adjust to the dark just in time to watch the display roll over from 23:59 to 00:00. Still hours until it's worth getting up. You're about to try and go back to sleep, but you suddenly get the feeling you're not alone. Now that you've noticed it, you can definitely sense a familiar presence watching over you. "Hi, Frisk," says Kara. "It's been a while." "What do you want?" You say it in a monotone, more like a statement than a question. "Wow, what's with the tone? I'm trying to be polite here." "I thought you were gone." "Gone? No, I'll be sticking around for a while yet. You're so full of surprises. I never know what you're going to do next." You turn over and close your eyes, but Kara doesn't take the hint. "Case in point," they continue. "You wimp out of fighting Sans because he's too tough for you, but now you want to try and save Azrael?" You grunt in annoyance. "So I take it that you chose this dream?" "I'm not the boss of your subconscious, but I was thinking about that battle, yes. The one where the skeleton man pranked you so hard you had to reset the timeline. Anyway, as I was saying, you can't fix Azrael. It is literally impossible, and you should give up." You sit up and glare at Kara. It's not like blocking them out was working anyway. "You don't know that?" "Oh, please. His soul vanished when he died. Poof, gone. That crazy doctor brought back his consciousness, but he's empty inside, and you know it. Face it, Frisk, you can't give everyone a happy ending."
If I was Frisk right now, I'd just be like, wow, such friendship, Kara.
No, who says that they're friends? "I can at least try." Kara gives an exaggerated sigh. "Fine. If you want to waste your effort on this dead end of a timeline, be my guest. But you'll get bored. And when you do, just remember the path that you were too much of a coward to finish." Your room fades into darkness around you, and suddenly the menu is looming before your face once again. The bright orange words fill your vision and follow you even when you turn away, even when you close your eyes. "Save, load, reset." Kara whispers 3 more words into your ears before they vanish. "I'll be waiting." You try to scramble away and trip in the darkness. There's no floor, so you fall and you fall until you finally wake up with a jolt. You sit up and look around. You swallow your panic and try to figure out if you're really awake this time. You don't hear Kara's voice, and the menu is gone. Both good signs. A thin strip of sunlight is showing between the curtains and cutting diagonally across your bed. Your dressing gown is hung on the door like it always is. The alarm clock reads 9:17, 13 minutes before it's set to go off. You sigh and relax. Everything is normal.
Keep reading.
And that is the end of chapter 2.
What?
Out of 17!
You said you were not going to launch into a long story.
No, this isn't. It's only 52,000 words.
Oh, okay, that's definitely. You can read it all in like one sitting.
Oh, and also chapter 17 out of question mark.
Is the story done yet?
No, it's not. But
That's then why are you reading it?
well, because
this is the author that he sent the story to.
no. Wait, what?
Didn't you send the other story to them that you recorded that you read?
Oh, well, of their own story? Yeah.
So that means they're active and you have contact with them, which means you can get them to write about it.
Oh, well, they are writing about it. In fact, it was last updated on July 20th.
Aha.
However, chapter 17 brings the arc of the story to an end. And so wherever he's going after that will be almost like will almost be like another story.
Yeah.
So there's a conclusion, even though the story itself is not yet done. So that was the intro and chapter 2, which was called Flowey.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know that we've ever read a story with... Oh, wait, well, we have.
With what?
With Frisk on a genocide route, or at least an aborted genocide route. But we'd have read...
Perhaps the happy ending.
Puzzles might be fun if you tried them.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
That was also an aborted
Did you hear me?
genocide
Yes,
route.
I did this too.
Chapter 3 will be called...
I can't see.
Pie.
There's more pie.
Just pie.
More pie.
Okay, well, what do you think so far?
So, let's see. There's Frisk who has
It's
done
a
a genocide
story.
route.
More than one, but aborted them all.
That is true. And then there's a Kara who is murdery.
Yep.
And you use the How to Save a Soul Kara voice.
Well, it's not...
he has like 3 different Kara voices. At
that's
least
interesting.
2 Frisk voices.
I don't
Well,
like
this Kara... this is a Kara who is... It's similar
Annoyed
to the
that
Kara...
Frisk did not finish the genocide route.
Yes, so in that case, in this situation, it'd be like the same sort of Kara as in Puzzles might be fun if you tried them,
Mm-hmm.
who really wants Frisk to get back on the genocide route.
Because, yeah.
Because they're bored
like-
and Azrael can't be saved.
I don't like stories with Frisks that don't care like an insane amount of as being a pacifist, and if they're curious enough, they'll try a genocide route.
Yeah. Well, and apparently this Frisk was willing to give it a try.
And Kara is just like, what are you doing?
How much of this is like?
I'm sure Kara was probably egging them on.
Well, after they started it, yes.
Yeah,
I bet
and
if
then
they started with pacifist, Kara was content with that.
Maybe.
it sounds like there's been so many resets, it's hard to even know what the order was. I'm not sure if that's revealed later on.
Except
or...
it said pacifism was boring, so it's as if he tried that first and was bored, and so he reset. And then he did the genocide route, probably at least once. I'm not sure. And then he did the one
you're
where
right.
Sans pranked him, and so he reset the entire timeline.
Mhm.
And presumably did at least one more genocide run almost after that.
How do you
Possibly.
get pranked that badly?
And then
No,
did a
Sans
pacifist
just
route that is the
told
one
him.
now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, unless it's just the dream, it does say pacifism proved to be a no-go, and you're curious to see what happens when you kill everyone. So yeah, maybe they did a whole pacifist route, then a genocide route,
Yes.
couldn't finish it, then went back and did a pacifism route again.
He did at least at least one genocide route because he reset after Sans pranked him because he was so bad.
What is
Yeah,
Sans pranking him? Just the spare.
just the
It's
sparing.
true though, that dream sort of does. Well, no. It sounds sort of like as if it was his first time doing it because he didn't know what would happen. And
Or he
but
didn't
then it
realize
said
that
things
was
about, like,
actually Spare.
Sans didn't say the same dialogue every time because he knew they had been there lots of times before.
Well, maybe he had just never gotten that far in the fight.
Or
He had always
he had
ignored the
done it
mercy,
before
the
and he
sparing.
care.
So when Sans spared him previously, he just kept on fighting.
Is this spare tech? It's either 13 or 17 turns into the fight.
And how do you know that exactly?
I don't remember. I don't from the wiki. I don't know.
Probably 13 because it's like halfway into the
Yeah,
fight.
it's-
And the
Wait,
fight's
it's
like,
halfway.
And how do you know
it's
that?
at least well,
She's
it's
looked
20.
up everything
I think
on
it's the
the Undertale
25th
wiki, like,
attack
3
that
times.
actually kills Sans.
The what?
25th.
The 25th?
25th
What?
time
You have
choose
to fight 25 times to actually get him.
Something like
That
that.
serves you right.
And every time, you have to fight 25 times, so that's not counting the healing.
Yeah, if you want a terrible ending, you really have to work for it.
Yeah.
That is, like,
Mhm.
the entire moral of Undertale.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
Sans does his job pretty
Undertale is one of a few games where you have to work really hard to get the worst ending.
What are the other games?
I don't know. I mean, there's not that many. The games where you just have to like ignore all the obvious things that are telling you don't do this, and then like Monkey Island, where you have to stay underwater for 20 minutes to die. While all the things are, well, it's pretty easy to get out.
How do you get underwater?
They tie you to a thing and tie you to a heavy idol and throw you underwater.
Oh.
Ooh.
Any final comments about this story?
We need to hear more of it.
This is
How much of
unfinished,
it
and
is-
it's not as good as the finished. But it's good if you update it, so update it like 1 chapter a day.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure. All right, I'm going to cheat by jumping to the end to see. Well, I've already read it.
Oh.
All right, hang on.
That's
Because I'm wondering if the author said he was going on a, or she, I don't actually know, is going on a hiatus.
What? What does
I'm
all
good.
the others do?
I don't know. I'm going to see.
Can we, can we get it?
Yes, it does. I'm sorry. This story will be on hiatus for a little while to give me time to plan and write the next few chapters.
Okay, how long is allowed?
This break,
For a while?
this break will last a month at the longest. However,
after a month, a new chapter will be
I expect part 2, when it's done, to be significantly shorter than part 1. In terms of sheer words, we're more than halfway through. So there you go.
Is Azrael fluffy by the end of part 1?
I ain't telling
Daddy.
you nothing.
Yeah.